Welcome back to the W Basketball Show. I'm your host, Lukas. This episode is going to run a little bit differently than other episodes. I'm currently recording this first segment at 1:15 on the 7th of August, about 6 hours before the Opals tip-off against Serbia in the women's quarterfinal. Not to be mistaken with the Boomers tipping off against Serbia in the men's quarterfinal. A game which we didn't get the result we want, so hopefully tonight's result's different. This first segment is just going to be me by myself talking about the group stage, what I saw from the Opals out of the group stage, what the Gangurrus were able to achieve in their first Olympics. And one little thing to note is that this first segment will be, I'm using my phone, I'm just recording straight into my phone, so if it sounds different, then that would be my reasoning. Or that would be the reasoning for the first, I don't know how long this is going to go for, maybe 15 minutes. Now that that's all taken care of, the Opals had a pretty good group stage. The Gangurrus had a really good Olympics. Qualified for the second round, after the first little group stage. But they were unable to beat Canada. In Game 1, they weren't able to beat Canada. I think it was just early tournament nerves for the Gangurrus not being able to get the win there, or really, put up sort of any real basketball that they wanted to be playing, and just a lot of careless mistakes. And the Canadian team came out professional and prepared, I think, and maybe a bit more ready for the stage. Maybe that's maybe a bit more ready for the stage. But the Gangurrus, they played so well throughout their other group stage games. The second day we beat, I think it was Spain. The second day we beat Germany, the US, and China, which are just three incredible 3x3 teams. There were great signs. We got great wins. We gritted them out. And we played a lot of really, really good basketball. And there was a lot of basketball that would have left a lot of Australian basketball fans happy. And sure, we didn't end up on the podium, but I think we took a monumentous step for 3x3 basketball in Australia. And I think the team, Annalie Maley, Marina Whittle, Ali Wilson, Lauren Mansfield, should be so, so happy with what they achieved, what they were able to, the product they were able to put out there when they were all healthy. Now, Lauren Mansfield went down with an injury, and for the last few games she was only able to maybe play 2 minutes here and there, and really was only used when one of the other players just couldn't run anymore. And it definitely looked at the end of the tournament that we were just out of legs, and that's all it came down to. We didn't have much height in terms of packing a big, and I think that worked against us against a few teams, but really worked in our favor against other teams. So I wouldn't change anything there. I think it was unlucky. We got an unlucky injury in a pretty high intensity tournament, and we were kind of left with 3 players, whereas other countries were able to play 4 against us. And maybe the first 6 minutes of the game, the Gangurrus were able to, stay toe-to-toe. But after that, the legs started to look a little heavier. And, we weren't able to finish off games and get wins like we were in the first 5-ish games. So, one thing I want to note for 3x3 competitions is I think you should be able to take injury replacements. Maybe you have a 4-player squad and then 1 or 2 injury replacements in case of an injury, because and you can only activate the injury replacements if a player is injured. And I think that maybe it should work as in if the player that's injured is deemed injured, then they are disqualified for the rest of the tournament, and the replacement player comes in, and then maybe you get 1 or 2 of those replacement players just in case. Because I think potentially the not wanting to take more than 4 players per team in an international competition for 3x3 basketball is that, teams might mix and match who they want to use as their 4 players, which kind of goes away from what 3x3 is trying to achieve. And, build their roster and their lineup in response to whoever they're coming up against. So maybe that's it there. This is just me spitballing. 3x3 basketball, I think it's pretty awesome, pretty fun sport to watch, pretty fun sport to play, really intense. You're really accountable, like you're fully accountable. Didn't really dawn on me until someone said, "Why is 3x3 an Olympic sport?" And then I thought about it, and I was like, that is kind of true. Like, it's such a young sport to immediately ascend its way to the Olympics. And I'm not complaining as a basketball fan and a 3x3 fan, but I hear the concerns out there. And yeah, it's super entertaining, and I think that's probably why it has made its way to the Olympics. Gangurrus, yeah. So I think they had a great tournament, and they should be really happy with where they've kind of started steering this ship. It's a pretty newly formed core for the Gangurrus. There's no way they would have been playing with each other for more than 2 years. Yeah, it's probably no way. It'd be about a year, maybe a year and a half tops. No, man, probably not even a year. Well, somewhere around there. And yeah, who knows how much longer they have to play with each other. And it's awesome. It's a super fun team to watch. Yeah, it's just awesome. I think there's great things to come for them. They've already achieved so much stuff. I think a few of them were hard on themselves. Marina and Annalie come to mind with not ending up where they wanted to, not achieving the goal that they set out to achieve. But they've already accomplished so much, and they're only going up. And if we had been healthy, we had such correctable mistakes in our first game against Canada that we would have been able to achieve in our second game against them. I'm not saying it would have guaranteed us a win, but it would have guaranteed us a shot at winning had we been fully healthy. That Canada team seems purpose-built to play 3x3, and they were playing incredible 3x3 basketball throughout the Olympics. And actually, the 3x3 tournament's over now. But yeah, they were playing great basketball. I'd say the only thing I would change about the Gangurrus' game plan is that when we were winning games, we were hitting threes, and when we were losing games, we weren't even taking threes. And not that we should fall in love with the three, but the three is there as an option. And I feel like there was too much of forcing the issue, trying to get an inside look. It was almost like stubborn, like how much we were trying to get on the inside. And I understand that the Gangurrus wanted to establish themselves on the inside and then open up the space from the inside, and yeah, then that opens up the 3-pointers. But there were so many possessions. There were so many times that we'd have like 5-ish possessions in a row end up in either a turnover or a really bad look. And like, let's say 2 of those possessions we just chucked up a 3, especially when it looked like the shot clock was starting to work against us. And let's say, you repeat that twice so like if you do that twice over 2 different 5-possession spans, that ends up being 4 attempted threes over 10 possessions. And when you compare that to 10 completely thrown away possessions, and let's say we hit 1 of those threes, aka 2s, yeah, that's a 2-point shot. That's 10% of what you need to win. And it's comparing 0 points, which you could kind of feel those possessions where it was going to become a throwaway possession. It compares 0 points out of those 10 possessions to 2 points out of those 10 possessions. And, that could be the difference, or that could make its difference in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I think the 3x3 team should be incredibly happy with what they've achieved so far and where they're going and what they're going to continue to achieve. As for the Opals in the group stage, I think we have made our way to the quarterfinals. We finished the group stage on 2 wins. I think you don't really feel... I don't feel good about a team coming out of a group stage with a losing record. Case in point, the Boomers came out 1-2 and weren't able to win in the quarterfinals. Our loss in the group stage was against, unarguably the worst team in our group. I know Canada weren't able to come out of the group stage with a win. I will happily admit that I do not think the Nigerian basketball team is better than the Canadian basketball team. After what I saw at the Olympics, I'm still so comfortable in saying that. But great achievement to the Nigerian team. Happy that they made it through. And I feel like, there is something building there. And I feel like they're still years away from having a great continuity and depth in their basketballing. In their basketball. But great steps so far. And, it's when the international basketball ecosystem is healthy, it's good for basketball fans. And with Nigeria being a new team on the map, that's only going to be a good thing for the viewers. For the Opals, so we won. So we lost against Nigeria, won against Canada, won against France. And we've gotten better in every single game. I think there are a few things that have piqued my interest. I think the thing that I find more interesting than anything else is who our closing five has turned out to be. Because I think our starting five, Sandy came in and played 5 WNBA players, and I think that really bit us in the ass in the game against Nigeria. And in the second game, she went with what was going, and in the third game, she went with what was going. And what was going were Tess Madgen and Kayla George, who are both part of the Sydney Flames, so they're going to be pretty dangerous next WNBL season. But it isn't the pizzazz. It isn't the most amount of talent that we have. It's the players that have the most amount of experience and were there for training camp and know what the understand the energy and the vibe and the culture of the team. Those are the ones that are closing out our games, and I just feel so comfortable when they're out there. I mean, how many big shots has Kayla hit just this tournament? How many big shots has Madgen hit just this tournament? And Madgen has been such a ship steadier down the stretch. So I think it's interesting. I think Sandy's learning on the fly. I think she's open to learning, and I think that has helped us in game 2 and 3 of our group stage. I think that we will need that coming up against Serbia with Marina Melkovic as their coach. She's I would say one of the 5 best basketball coaches in the world. It's just Serbia's talent pool that is limiting them, and as Melkovic says, the lack of a domestic product is what is leading to that lack of talent, because you can't expect to not have a domestic product and then go to the international stage and compete with the very best of the very best. So they're doing an incredible job with what they've got, and they're an exciting basketball team to watch. So I think, as for the Opals though, that the fact that the closing lineup has ended up being who they are, I think that's very interesting. And I think similarly related to that is Jade Melbourne in the starting lineup versus Tess Madgen when she comes off the bench to run the show. I am a bit skeptical of it. I feel like you don't want Jade running point for the entire tournament, and I think that has proven itself. I think that she's just so good at basketball. She's so talented. She's just so inexperienced though. Like, she's still the youngest player in the WNBA, but I like her in the starting lineup because she's just that injection of energy at the very start of the game. You can imagine her flying downhill, getting to the ring, hitting a layup, getting to the foul line, just causing disruption in the very early going that helps us land the first punch. And that is so, in a do or die game, like in a must-win game, those plays are so important at the start of the game. Being able to get on the front foot and like whether or not you're winning the scoreboard in the first 5 minutes of the game, so long as you're causing disruption and you're forcing the other team to adjust. Jade has been so important in doing that, and I think I hope she starts her again against Serbia. I feel like a lot of things that I say in the first half of this podcast are just going to immediately be disproven when we come up against Serbia in 5.5 hours, sorry. when we come up against Serbia then. So yeah, I think that'll be a great thing to immediately reflect on and regret as soon as we tip off. But I hope she at least gets those 4 minutes at the start of each half, just to be the tone setter. I think same thing that I said for the Gangaroos. Actually, I think it goes to the Opals and the Boomers. If we're going to have these stretches where we're just turning the ball over and we're being careless with the ball, this is mainly for the Opals actually. Why are we not just ending the possession in a shot? When we as a player, surely they know when they've strung 3 really poor offensive possessions in a row. Surely that next play should just be let's run a play that gets us a half decent look. It doesn't have to be our best look. It just has to be, finishing the possession with a shot and not a turnover. I'll be back in 1 second. Yeah, valuing possessions, finishing possessions strong. I think those things are extra important when coming up against Serbia, who want to turn their opponents over, play fast, play a high pressure game. If Serbia turns us over 5 times, that's probably 10 points with the way they get their turnovers up near the halfway mark. And who knows what the end score in this game will probably be in the 60s or the 70s, and that 10 points is huge. That's such a large chunk of their work. We did play Serbia in the Olympic qualifying tournament, and we played really well against them. We won quite handily from memory. However, in terms of coming up against Nigeria in the first game and their high pressure press, when blended with their size, I think that was bad for the Opals, and I feel like we didn't adjust on the fly, either coaching wise, and the players I don't think ever really got into a groove. So I think establishing ourselves early, finishing the first quarter with 0 turnovers, I think would be more valuable than finishing the first quarter with a lead. I think not letting Serbia get into what they want to get into defensively, and on the flip side, us getting a shot at the end of every possession, I think that would kind of address all of our problems in the first or in the group stage. And I hope we win. I think we win, but who knows? Who actually knows what could happen? We could have a bad shooting night, Serbia could have a hot shooting night. Both of those things could happen at the same time. There's a lot to be excited for going into this game, and if we win this game, then we are guaranteed to play in a medal match. And if we win this game, we're going to come up against the US, which might be a pretty tough task. I would love to see Australia come up against the US. I think I'd love to see how we measure against them, because I feel like we would give them our best shot, and I feel like we would play with quite a bit of fearlessness, and that'd be fun to watch. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think we should win. I really, really think we're going to win, and I hope this doesn't sound bad in however long's left to go in this podcast. In 20 minutes time, I hope we're not talking about how Serbia beat Australia and we weren't able to get it done, because that would just be awful. Last notes on the France game. How good was that? I mean, that was easily the most pressure we've faced, and kind of the blend of talent and coaching. That was the best blend of talent and coaching that we faced, and we just played so well against them. End to end. We played our own basketball, and I think we showed 95% of what we could be. That was close to exactly how we want to be playing. Maybe even higher. Maybe 98%. Those other 2%, I think, are just like 0 bad turnovers. I think that's what that last 2% is. Just 0 careless turnovers, which might never happen in a basketball game, but that would be an 100% basketball. In terms of playing to the game plan, I think every team would say 100%. 0 careless turnovers would have to be a part of their perfect game. So yeah, that was great. That was a great viewing experience as an Opals fan, as an Aussie basketball fan, and fingers crossed we get this win tonight. But yeah, great time to be a basketball fan, and I'll see you in the next half.
The NBA moves so quickly these days, it's hard to keep up. Shams and Woj are breaking stories left and right, but the Quick Time Out is right there with them to keep you informed on the latest NBA news. Stop in and let us break it down as it happens. Find the Quick Time Out on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
And we're back. We didn't wait until the end of the game. Australia-Serbia. We are currently 6 minutes 28 to go in the fourth quarter. Australia's up 75-53 against Serbia. All of the things I was apprehensive about, I had no need to be apprehensive about. I said in the first half, one of those bullshit calls going against Jade Melbourne. That's first one of the game.
Number 5, I think.
No. This one was going against
right.
him. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and that familiar laugh you hear? Marco's joined us.
Hi, how are you?
For the second half of this episode. And yeah, as I said in the first half, we're just going to be talking about just this game. And so yeah, Marco, where do you want to take this away? Did you think this was going to be so lopsided?
I didn't think it was going to be so lopsided, no. Especially since even though we did look so much better against France, like we still really had to win that game. Like we were talking about this at the beginning of this game. Like we had to put in that veteran unit with Magin and George. To it felt like for basically the entire fourth quarter to grind out that win. And I think all the sort of apprehensions I'd had in games 1 and 2, particularly game 1, which, we've harped on about.
Yeah.
Like, I did feel better about them after France. I was like, okay, this team's playing well, but, like, they're going to have to keep it up. They're going to have to keep up this really, really high level of effort and play. And, like, they've obviously put in so much, effort and precision tonight. Man, they've also just made it look easy. For the first time this tournament, our offense is just coming so easily. Like, when we try to do something, we're actually pulling it off. When we're like, all right, we want to move the ball here, and then, we want to get it to the big there. It actually happens. It doesn't turn into this sort of mad scramble to get a good shot. Our shooting has just been incredible in this game. But I think what should be like the not the biggest talking point, but maybe the most important talking point is like our two best players have been Alana Smith and Jade Melbourne, who Alana Smith had a really good tournament, Jade Melbourne not so much, but I think at various points over the group stage, they were like our weak spots, and they just like have not put a foot wrong tonight. Oh no, definitely. I think in the first half, something I said was that I like Jade Melbourne being in that like starting role in each half and like energizing us. Completely disproven in this game. I think what she had 14 or 16 in the first half, and two assists that were kind of just like drop off passes to Whitcomb. There could have easily been 2 more buckets for Jade Melbourne, and you're talking about a 20 or near 20 point half from a 20-year-old, or 21-year-old. And yeah, that's just been great to see in the Serbia game. Her getting a bit of momentum going into, I'm pretty sure it's the United States we have in the next game. But yeah, I think actually, how do you feel about this game in comparison to the France game? What do you feel like we're doing better, and who do you feel like had a great game in the France game, and who have you seen like another step out of in this game? Yeah, like I think it was like Whitcomb really pulled us out of that France game. Kayla George really pulled us out of that France game. But then, just also that thing we've been talking about where it's like, just having Tess Magin on the floor calms things down. But, like, we just haven't really needed her to do that tonight because, like, honestly, like, feeling so much more, almost Jade and Ezzy almost forcing another turnover there. But, like, you just feel so much happier with Jade Melbourne with the ball in her hands than you have probably throughout the entire group. I think Alana Smith's had she's had a great game, particularly on the boards and defensively. She's won a lot of like 1-on-2s, for defensive rebounds against the Serbian bigs who are, nothing to sniff at. And yeah, I think like Kayla George has obviously just carried over from how good. Oh, yeah. As she adds another 2 points to her tally there, bringing it up to 17 for the game.
She's got 17.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Yeah.
And you'd barely even heard about it.
No.
It must be on like 8 shots as well.
It's it's on 10. Yeah.
Wow, Christ almighty, that is so efficient.
Yeah.
And then that last play, which led to a Serbia timeout. We just never were doing that in any other game. Just like a leak out, a bad miss, a long miss, an easy rebound for us, just capitalizing on it.
Yeah.
So it is good to see us just growing from game to game. I think this Serbia team is weaker than France.
Yeah.
But as you said, in terms of Magin, like it's so good to know we haven't needed to call on her in this game, but it's so good to know that's there. That ship steadier that just unlocks everything for the rest of the team. It's so nice that we can have that moving forward. It'll be interesting to see who our rotation will be, who Sandy will go with in the US game. Great timeout before when we saw Sandy Brondello say, "Put Yvonne Anderson in every action." She's struggling. She's struggling,
and like she's like foaming at the mouth. When she said it
and then she went straight into the next play, and then straight into the play after that. Whereas you brought up Brian Gorgon, just like Jock was like, "Let me defend Jokic like this, and this," and Gorgon just like, "Play hard."
I've got 1 foot out the door already, Jock. Like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So that's great. It's great to see Sandy's coaching. It's great to see the game plan evolve from both the players and her coaching from, especially I think game 1 to this game. Serbia is a full court pressing team, as we see them full court press, that really, really turns their opponents over and have been doing it for a lot longer than Nigeria have. Yeah. And to see us deal with it the way we've dealt with it. Lovely. Buckets coming, buckets are coming easy. We're making them look easy. And to see us how prepared we are for this game, it does fill you with hope. Yeah. I feel like this game has been a lot of as you said earlier, maybe like if you just keep executing, then like it doesn't matter what you do on the other end. How much of this execution do you feel like is just individual brilliance, and then how much do you feel like is like team vibe and like coaching and empowerment?
I think I want to say like this game, I feel like 2/3 maybe coaching vibe. Like everyone feels so much more connected than they did from the first game, and we were talking about this where it's like perhaps the Opals' downfall in this tournament. I mean, we haven't fallen down yet, but like the reason we did struggle through the group stage was that we had so many WNBA players come into the camp super late, like not get the time that the other players have had with each other, and then that was our starting lineup was these 5 players who've like not spent very much time with each other.
Bad timing because it's our closing lineup right now.
Yeah. Well, no, but this is what I mean. Maybe it takes a professional basketball team 20-25 games to learn how to play with each other. In the Olympics, you have to figure it out in 3. You have to. You absolutely have to figure it out in 3. And we have. Like, again, even from the France game where we were closing with that slightly more veteran lineup, we're now closing with our starting lineup full of WNBA players. Yeah. And you feel really, really good about it. So I think there's that. We are getting that perfect storm of players playing really well that I just think you often get at every level, like in international competition, where it's just like, oh yeah, so Sammy Wickham is the best 3-point shooter in the world. Kind of like how Jack McVeigh is the best 3-point shooter in the world. Yeah. Like players, Kayla George, I mean, the woman who's always ready for anything. Like just willing to, play 5-10 spot minutes and just defend, or take 8 threes, she'll really just do it all for you, and she'll perform like no matter what your expectation is for her. And so I do think there's a bit of like that kind of storm in a teacup thing about it, where it's like, oh yeah, everyone's playing so well tonight, but like you can't ignore the chemistry that's developed like in a very, very short amount of time. Or, I guess the chemistry that's there because these players play together all the time. Yeah. But that has kind of
been reignited.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think that the confidence in the team has been, game plan and coaching in this game more than I want to say the France game. I feel like there are a few of those late baskets from Kayla, which were just
Yeah.
kind of felt like she was bailing us out.
Yeah.
I feel like anytime there's individual brilliance from Imagine, it is that is just like the team. It's the team being embodied and the way we play and stuff being embodied, rather than like she's so integral and so like built into what this team is that like she can never have her own moments. But yeah, I hope this momentum stays with us going into next game. I would love to just see, you know, it's annoying to talk about the US as if it's over before it's begun. Yeah. But it's over before it's begun. Yeah. And I just want to see how we stack up right now, because I feel like this is this is the strongest we've been. And this is like, you know, no Beck Allen, but like otherwise this is a pretty strong. We've got a pretty strong team out there. The rotation has kind of figured itself out as we were talking throughout the first 3 quarters of this game, with Izzy Borlase, Lauren Jackson, and Amy Atwell kind of no longer being in the rotation. And actually, now that I say it, I feel like I haven't seen Tolo for more than maybe 5 minutes tonight.
She played 2.5. Like I feel like we probably are happy with our big depth. You know, being those sort of core 3. Look, you don't want to write off that US game, but like, and I don't want to. You're listening to this in Australia. Have just qualified to the semi-finals of the Olympics in women's basketball, and I don't want to dampen the excitement of that, because it's awesome, especially in this fashion. But like, we still turned the ball over 13 times tonight. Against a team that generates a lot of turnovers, and like that number has trended down from 26 to 20 to 18 to 13. So like, you know, we're turning over the ball half as much as we were in the first game against Nigeria. But like,
there's another one.
Okay, all right, let's make that 14. But like, the US is just going to capitalize on every single one of those in a way that Serbia hasn't. Like, like Serbia, there was a play, I think it was early in the 4th or late in the 3rd, where, you know, Jade Melbourne did that the wild missed layup and then fall over, like, you know, she's gonna break her neck thing that she loves to do.
She loves doing that.
And like, Serbia had a 5-on-4 for about 6-7 seconds, and they just didn't get a bucket. That's not going to happen against the US. Like, the second they see that you're a player down, they're just going to capitalize on it. And them capitalizing on it is, like one of the best players in the world taking a 3 or getting the ball in the post. Like, it's just a guaranteed bucket. But, you know, like, I think if we're, you know, went into that Nigeria game favourites, we underperformed, we've performed better and better and better. We've probably developed a slightly underdog attitude that Australians love to have. No better way to be than that going into a game against the US. Yeah, definitely. And also on that possession that you were talking about, when Melbourne's on the ground and they had a 5-on-4, this Serbian team had a 5-on-4. Kind of also what went into that was a few possessions of good D by us in a row, which then started to do its own work, where Serbia were kind of out of their rhythm. And I feel like, you know, your Belgiums or your United States of Americas, even if they do have a 4-minute patch of no scoring, which is highly unlikely, they won't have a 4-minute patch of bad basketball. And they will stay in that flow where they can capitalize on that. Someone else who's just checked in, Christy Wallace. Oh, what?
I feel like she's also not had too many minutes tonight. So we kind of
She hasn't had any. That's her first check-in. I've forgotten about Christy Wallace, to be honest.
Isn't that crazy how good we are?
Yeah.
But that kind of means we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 deep for the majority of this game. Which, you know, exactly. In a 40-minute game, that's probably all you can do. Like, if you want players to get into a rhythm. And it's so nice that we have all of these options to rely on. And like, Christy Wallace is such a gun.
100%.
She's such a good player. But yeah, so I think other you know, notable plays of this game, I think I said going into this game, having no turnovers in the first quarter would be better than going to the first quarter with a lead. Like, we'd prefer to go in with no turnovers. We had 3 turnovers. One of them was a 5-second out of bounds violation. Like, we didn't get the inbound violation.
It was by Whitcomb or Talbot?
It was by Magin.
It was by Magin. So that's like, that's an anomaly. Let's call it.
But and then I don't remember the other 2 turnovers, but it was 2, let's presume, live ball turnovers compared to however many we'd been giving away in other games. And look at how it set us up for the rest of the game. So I think that was a highlight for me. Do you have any highlights, or even individual plays that you want to relive?
I think it was Jade Melbourne. Jade Melbourne's first half, like those 2 threes. It was just like I feel so good watching those go in. And just I feel like I don't think Sandy's been using her wrong, but I feel like she hasn't had the most Jade Melbourne shot diet so far this tournament. And then this one there was a lot of leaking out. There was a lot of like sprinting in and going for the foul, which is much more her style, and not in sort of desperation when we need a bucket late in the shot clock. It's like, all right, like we're helping Jade get into the paint. That's what we're doing on this possession. And there were, I think she had like 2 or 3 like fast break layups or passes to that really good pass to Alana Smith in transition. I really liked that. And then I think without having the full box score available, what we're counting as the 16-0 run that we had in the third quarter when Serbia had brought it back to 11 points, I think.
Something like that.
And you very astutely said it, I used to think that the impressive part was the 16, but it's actually the 9. It's so true.
The 0, So I think highlights for me, jumping on that, building on that Jade Melbourne thing, was how she's gone against Yvonne Anderson. Hasn't been taken out of her funk at all. I don't think Yvonne stripped her one time.
No.
Which is unheard of for such a young point guard. And then there were a few plays. I think it was at the in their like third quarter run, in Serbia's third quarter run, where I feel like this is when it happened, but when Yvonne Anderson was bringing up the ball on the right side of the court, and as she crossed half court, Jade and Sammy Wickham just kind of brick walled her and just like popped the ball out and forced the turnover, which is very uncharacteristic, I think, of. I've seen that happen to Yvonne Anderson before, but like not in that fashion, and not while her team is like rolling. So I think for Jade to stay so composed is just so great for Aussie basketball fans and for the Opals for the next 20 years. That's awesome. That's so much time. Those that individual matchup, and then also Kayla, I think, as well, when in reaction to that third quarter run by Serbia, she just stripped Ratza or Racha, I don't know how to pronounce it, Ivana Racha, twice, like 2 times in maybe 3 possessions.
I think she started the 16-0 run.
Potentially.
I'm pretty sure she, in the first 8-0 of that, she had those 2 steals and she hit a 3. Which is just like huge.
But then, it was, since the France game, it's just been big play after big play by Kayla. And to be a relief player, a reserve player in the first game, and then to just come in and immediately make the impact, it's just awesome. Like, it's just so good on her to like be a great teammate and then to be a great performer when called upon.
I've meant to say this several times in this podcast actually, but it's interesting comparing her and Magin. Where it's like Magin's job is to just like come in, calm things down, like do a role, be the little, the connective piece. I don't know, like the Derek White, sort of just make sure everything's kind of working like it's meant to be. Kayla's job is to come in and do something huge.
And she does it.
Like defensively, offensively, like, get in the pick and roll, hit a big 3, and it just delivers time and time again. So tips moving forward. How do we feel? Do we want to get the actual bracket up? Well, while you do that, I'll just say a final few thoughts on this game. So we're finishing 85-67, 18 points up. Christy Wallace in that little 2-minute cameo had 3 turnovers. So
boosting our turnover count.
Bringing it up to 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we had 18 turnovers in this game in the end.
We
had 4 turnovers like since we started recording this podcast. Basically.
Garbage time turnovers. Okay,
So yeah, it won't show up on cleaning the glass, but
so I think we're the first game in the women's draw. I think there's is it 10:30,
Yeah.
then 2 a.m. and then 5:30. So Nigeria, US, who are you tipping there?
Gotta go Nigeria, man. They just got the hot hand.
I might come back to that one. Germany, France. Oh, that'll be so good.
I don't know. Like, I feel like Germany have maybe been playing better.
I'd go Germany.
Yeah, like fuck. Saju Sabali's been like another arrival moment for her.
Man, watching Germany in the Eurobasket last year, and then to think they can just add Satu Sabali to a really good team. No wonder.
And they've just got that. They just have that German thing of like
punctuality.
Yeah. They're always on time for their games. They're so organized so quickly. Like, like somehow every player is just immediately on the same page about what they're doing, which like the Opals who have played, like this group has played so much together and has such a good team culture. Even we're not like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We're so Aussie.
Yeah.
And then Spain, Belgium, which will also be a classic.
Oh, God. I really want Belgium to win.
I think they will.
Yeah.
I think so. The final four, as decided by us, is Australia, who we've been right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say United States as well.
I'm gonna revise my answer, Lucas.
And then Germany and Belgium.
That's pretty good.
God, that's such a good top four.
Yeah. But it's the best 4 teams in the world.
Probably. Probably. Okay. So any other parting thoughts, feelings?
No. Maybe. Well, I'm not. I probably won't be super qualified. But how do you feel about Serbia exiting the tournament at this stage? Like, is this about where they should be?
Well, after we mention those 4 teams, I wouldn't say they're better than any of those 4 teams. Hrven Dakic, I can't remember what her first name is, but she was one of the, leading forces of this Serbia team, of this core of this Serbia team for years. And so that would have been a big loss. And as I've said, like maybe 5 times on the W Basketball Show, Marina Melikovic came out and said after one of their games in the Eurobasket that like they need a domestic product. They need more investment on a local or a national level. And one of the direct quotes was that you can't solve all of your problems at the international stage. I don't want to pretend like I know what Belgium's league is like. I think Germany's is pretty good. Yeah. And then the other 2 teams in the top 4 are Australia and the United States, which are potentially, which I would say, let's say the WNBL is one of the top 4 leagues in the world, with that potentially being the second best league in the world. The US is the first, and then Belgium and Germany are both have a lot of teams that compete in the EuroLeague. Yeah. So that speaks to I think what Melkovic has been I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. Yeah. There's a J after there's a J after the L and before the K, all right? cut me
J after the L before the K.
Cut me some slack.
That's not how the alphabet goes.
That's usually LMNO. So rings true to what she's been saying, but like this team is so good. Yeah. Like Nogic, Ratza, Anderson, Chado, Krasinic. I think that was their starting lineup. And then 25. I can't remember her name. But like there's like 9 like solid basketball players here that I think this speaks to the health of the international landscape for women's basketball right now. Like it's so good. Yeah. We just saw how good it is. Yeah. And the fact that Serbia team lost by 20 to a team that's better than them is crazy to see how good like 5 through 8 are, and then also how strong 1 through 4 are.
Yeah, for sure. And like if they'd met us in match day 1 in the group stage, they probably could have beaten us.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
If they were playing like the hard defense that Nigeria was, and probably had definitely have a lot more polish on the offensive end. But again, like the fact that Nigeria can take 2 games off, who are like really, like should be women's basketball powerhouses. Like Canada should be up there as one of those best teams as well. Like you're so right. The 12, like there's no slouch team, in the 12 that came to the Olympics.
Yeah. And looking at the game stats right now, hit our free throws and look at how how much that let us breathe. 22 or 25 from the free throw line. That's amazing.
So the turnovers don't matter. It's just the free throws.
It might be. But great point. Like if Serbia had come up against us in that Nigeria game, and let's say the D was like for like, Serbia's offense would have trounced us.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been doing that maths thing. We're like, okay, we just need to keep them at this, and we need to score this. We need to keep them at this. By the middle of the third quarter, we'd be like, this game is over.
Yeah, 100%. And they were just got on a roll. They didn't get on a roll because we just were suffocating them the whole time and didn't give them an opportunity to. So, congrats to the Opals.
Congrats to the Opals. Excited to see you in the semi-finals now. Hopefully you guys can come back with a medal.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I hope so. I really hope so. Because that means... all right. Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But that means we play the loser of Germany-Belgium. And neither of those are a guaranteed win.
No. But they're in our wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, we're talking about beating the US and we're going like, well, maybe, something can happen. But, I can... Like, Belgium and Germany are teams we should be able to beat. Yeah.
Hopefully. Get up for the cup.
Anyway, thanks for that, Lukas.
Yeah, thanks for coming on for that, Marco.
No worries.
And I'll see you. We doing anything this weekend? No, it's actually.
I'll talk to you. Online.
Yeah, see you online.
Bye.
Bye.